Honeymoon hotspot workers, what are your best and worst stories regarding Newlyweds? I frequent a natural hot springs in Alaska that has a high influx of Asian tourists and Newlyweds during winter time. The hot springs create huge steam clouds that make the visibility very low while wading in the waist-high water. Apparently, the Newlyweds from Japan, I think, believe that consummating their marriage under the northern lights will give them a male child. So, they go to the hot springs in the middle of winter, when it's dark outside, and have sex in the water. It's really weird to be there, wading around, and accidentally run into a couple of mating nations in the water. I used to work at a Hilton hotel near Disney, and there was a Newlywed couple that had come down from their room and said they had just gotten married and they were looking for the nearest topless bar. I'm confused as to how forward they were and why they would want to spend their wedding night at a topless bar. So I directed them down a sleazy part of town and told them there were plenty down a specific road. Later, I was so shocked I told my coworker what had just happened and what they were looking for. He then called me an idiot and said they probably asked for a tapas bar. Well, shit. That was the first time I had heard of said place and never knew they existed or were called that. Okay, so I work at a high-end all-inclusive hotel in Sokol. Honeymooners often come here, and for some reason shit always seems to get really weird. Possibly because I know one of my coworkers sells Molly, so one night at like 3 AM we get a request for room service and they want mustard, ketchup and a bun. So to get this straight, they did not ask for a hot dog. Being that we are all about customer service, I go into the kitchen and get all of the items and bring it up to the room. I knock once, no answer, twice, no answer, then finally after the third knock I get an answer. I give them their mustard, ketchup and bun on the platter and the fucking dew drips off the top of it. Grabs the bun, whips out his dick and sticks it right in it. The new wife grabs the ketchup and mustard and dumps it all over it. They both start hysterically laughing and close the door. I was at a loss of words for hours, so I guess they got me pretty good. A Christian couple I know had never had sex before their wedding night. The guy wanted to break the ice, so he got naked while his bride was in the suite bathroom on their honeymoon. He spread eagle and aimed his butt towards the bathroom door. His bride comes out and he rips a fart, but shit came out. He shit the bed and she locked herself in the bathroom for 7 hours crying. They're fine now, but she wanted a divorce that night. I was in Mexico with my mother and sister. As we were walking down an outdoor path in the resort, we saw a young girl crying and her boyfriend walking behind her frantic. They were both covered in cuts and bruises, surrounded by security and medical, and of course on their honeymoon. I asked one of the staff what happened. The couple was having sex on their balcony and fell off. Apparently not too high off the ground, but height enough to be beaten and shook up. TL, doctor, don't have sex on a balcony. I work at a hotel restaurant. One day we hosted a wedding reception for a young couple who paid for an open bar. The party was a blast. People got wasted and had tons of fun. Around 2 AM the bride and groom and their closest friends finally left the restaurant to go back to their room. Apparently they decided to all hang out in a room for a while and continue the party. From what I heard, at some point the maid of honor called the bride a lesbian, and the groom socked said maid in the face. She ran, screaming, to the front desk and called the police. The groom was arrested and taken to jail on his wedding night for assaulting the maid of honor. 1 year later the couple returned to the restaurant for their anniversary. They were super cool and seemed really happy. I live in Las Vegas, and I used to work in one of the major casinos on the strip. One night in one of our clubs during a wedding reception, one of my employees let me know that he had heard multiple people in a bathroom stall. The stalls had full doors, so you couldn't see feet, but you could definitely hear some debauchery going on. I called security and they asked the people to open the door. So, out comes a groomsman, followed by the bride, followed by the best man, followed by the groom, all half naked. They proceed to go right back to the reception, like nothing ever happened. I'm the evening maintenance at a resort and we get a call that a room has a light bulb out. Cool, something to do. So I hop on my 1-speed golf cart and make way to the room with light bulb in hand. I arrive to said room and I knock on the door and announce maintenance. I hear a man say come in. So I grab my key card, swipe myself in, Lo and behold, the hairiest Russian dude and his smoking hot wife jump from the bed, buttoning up their drawers wide-eyed as deer in the headlights. I 180 degrees, tractor beamed my eyeballs to the floor, apologized and waited outside of the door. Hairy the Russian opens the door, and instead of going in to change the bulb, I said, "Here you go," just handed it to him, and hightailed it out of there. After long thought, I came to the conclusion he had said coming, but I misheard behind all of his chest hair and his accent. Sad alert. There was an anniversary at the lodge that I worked at for the couple's 50th. They had their whole family staying there for the big event. After the huge party, the not so newlywed bride had a heart attack and died mid-sex. Huge bummer for the husband, but maybe the best way to go. I don't work at a honeymoon Hotspot, but over winter break I went on a cruise. My cousins and I had met this couple on the cruise that were on their honeymoon. The husband was pretty chill, and the wife seemed really nice too. I think they were in their 20s, he was like 27, and she 24. I was drunk the whole cruise, so I may be wrong. Well, anyway, we had hung out with them just about every night, partying and drinking at the bar. Well, on the last night my oldest cousin went to bed early, and it was just I and my other cousin. It was around 2 in the morning and we were just chillin', being all drunk enjoying food, when all of a sudden she comes stumbling into the restaurant and sat with us. She told us her husband went to bed and she was lonely. We openly invited her to join us, and that's when she completely opened up. She was saying how horny she was and how she had been keeping her eye on us. We thought she was joking, but then she turned and said that if she wasn't recently married, she would have loved to have sex with my cousin and I. We didn't know what to do, so we just walked her to her room and said goodnight to her. But I really have felt bad for her husband. She tried to apologize to us the next day, but my cousin got mad and told her she better get her act together. My cousin is 23 and I'm 20 BTW. This probably doesn't count. I worked at a goddamn Dairy Queen. Hotspot? I think not. Anyway, this couple comes up to the counter, gushing and talking about how they just got married X days ago. They were clearly looking for someone to calm their first shared blizzard. What they did not realize was that I knew the girl involved from a church-related thing, no less. The relationship was just distant enough so that she didn't recognize me without context. Clearly, they were dating, or friends or something, who decided to try to get free ice cream. If she'd truly been engaged, I would have known. Anyway, I said in my sweetest voice, "Sure, name of girl, and congrats." Her face was priceless both at the time and later when I saw her among church people. Totally worth the money I had to eat for the blizzard. The honeymoon suites were always the worst. There was never a real best. I guess the best of the worst was the room with the chocolate. The shower and jacuzzi were covered in it. Cleaning it was awful, but the chocolate, but print impossibly high up on the shower wall was pretty impressive. Not quite honeymoon related, but I work in a high-end hotel chain, and during the reception, I delivered cake, presents, champagne, and robes to the bridal suite. Having my own key, and not expecting anyone in the room, I let myself in to find the mother of the groom and the groomsman having a little bit of fun on their own. Fair to say I walked out quite quickly. I'm not a honeymoon hotspot worker, but I do have a good story at a resort with honeymooners. When I was 19, I went to Hilton Head, South Carolina with my girlfriend at the time and her mother and brother. We were staying in a timeshare that her mom and uncles shared, and it was a pretty nice place. One night my ex and I decided to go out to the hot tub for some alone time. However, there was already a couple there. We still wanted to go into the hot tub, so we went anyway. She was a real personable person, so she started a conversation with the couple right away, and that's when we found out they were on their honeymoon. We all kept talking, and after a bit they offered us some of the champagne they had, which we eagerly accepted. After the bottle was finished, we were all trying to decide what to do. My ex and I had some weed we planned on smoking, and decided to ask the couple if they wanted any, since they were kind enough to share their champagne. They accepted right away, and invited us over to where they were staying. We smoked and drank wine with them, until we were all pretty gone. That's when the couple started getting really emotional and serious. They told us that we were a cute couple and that we were young, so we shouldn't get ourselves tied down so early. By what they were saying, it almost seemed like they were having some reservations about the marriage, which made it really awkward for us. My ex and I exchanged looks trying to look for a way out, since the night was taking a turn we did not want, when she got a call from her brother asking where we were. We used that call as our way out, so we said goodbye and congratulated them again before we left. That night and that couple has stuck with me over the years, and I honestly hope everything ended up well with them, because they were really cool and nice. A while back in the long ago, I work at a 4-star hotel. A couple came in for their honeymoon, but they forgot to bring in protection and they didn't have any in their rooms, and the public toilet on the first floor was out. So the guy asked me in a horny voice where he could procure himself some contraception. I told him I would get him some. I went to the staff bathroom, got 4 for $2. Yes, we get them cheaper, and brought them to him. He was so glad he gave me $100 for tip. Don't know why, but the maid decided to bust in 2 hours before checkout. Me and the woman were mid-dogger style and she, not the maid, shot under the blankets so fast I was literally there with my dick in hand. Edit. Being young and in love and very horny, all caution is thrown to the wind in regards to locking the door when it's your first weekend to go crazy together completely alone. Also edit on the pronoun. I work as a manager for a resort on a Pacific island. I can't say which, because it would be too identifying. Anyways, this man turns up out of the blue, seemed a bit of a downer, but boy did he know his way around a cocktail bar, so I hired him as a bartender. And what a mistake that was. Not only had he banged half the waitresses within a month, but he'd also banged a couple Newlywed brides on their honeymoons. How do you do that? Then one day, he disappeared the same way he showed up, out of the blue. Maybe it had something to do with that guy with the seaplane. It wasn't even remotely close to a honeymoon hotspot, and that was the sad part. I was 17 and working at a particularly shitty open-air motel on the night shift next to the nicest hotel in town, which wasn't saying much. A young couple came in practically in tears because the honeymoon suite they'd booked at the nicer hotel had rented out their room and there wasn't anywhere else to stay, so they came to our motel, literally the only one in town that had a single room to rent. I felt terribly sorry for them and gave them the biggest discount I could and let them into that last shitty little room. While they were getting their luggage, I remembered the suite right above the office that was usually rented out as an apartment. It wasn't any great shakes of an apartment, but it was the best we had. I didn't say anything to the couple right away, but went upstairs and did the best I could to scrub off the dust and spiders and rub a bleach rag over the linoleum. It took me about an hour, and I was pretty proud of myself for getting the room ready as quick as I had, given the decrepit condition it was generally left in. I threw the bleach rags and dirty linens in the laundry room, and went to go bring the couple to their fancy-ish new suite. I knocked, but no one came to the door. The new husband eventually asked what I needed, and I told them about their room. I was sadly puzzled that they didn't want to seem to leave even just to check it out, and that they didn't even come to the door or turn on the lights, and that the new bride kept giggling. I made my way sadly back to the front office, and concluded that they must have been really tired after such a long day. They sounded a lot happier than they did when they first came in though, so I figured my efforts weren't a total waste. I live on Maui and worked for a wallet enterprise, car rental. Once I already had a new job lined up, I could get away with anything. This Newlywed couple had an economy car reservation and wanted to upgrade to a Mustang convertible. It was supposed to be an extra $100 per day, which the guy could obviously not afford, based on the look on his face when I told him. But I gave it to them anyway for free, because there was sand in the front seat that I didn't feel like vacuuming. They jumped up and down and hugged me and said I made their honeymoon. The feels.